One of the phrases that's so popular in our culture, you hear it all the time in business, you hear it all the time in leadership circles, and it is this phrase, life, work, balance. Life, work, balance.
Life work
Yeah.
balance.
And the thing that we advocate is not life work balance, but life work rhythm. And what does life work rhythm look like in the context of marriage? Because my gosh, honey, 2020 was a reminder that life is not a balance. Everything was out of balance in what we call the
Thing.
popping peas of pandemic and pivots and protests and politics. Everything was out of balance. Life is not a balance, life is a rhythm. Our hearts have a rhythm. The sun has a rhythm. The sun rises, the sun shines, the sun sets. The ocean has a rhythm, ebb and flow. The seasons have a rhythm. Life it's a rhythm. And so it's a rhythm in marriages. And what does that look like? And we've discovered over the years, this is what, our 32nd year?
32nd year.
32nd year, my Jamaican sensation, right? And that this rhythm is reflection. It's to reflect, to refresh, and to recenter. Leviticus 25 verses 1 through 4 talks about this idea that every 7 years, God says to Israel, let the land rest. Let the land rest. And every day in creation, God would look at his work and see that it was good. So one of the things that we've had to learn over the years, and how we wish we had heard this 33 years ago when we were dating and engaged, is this idea of time to reflect, refresh, and recenter. So what does reflecting look like? One is crafting your core values. So our core values, and we'll share ours in just a moment, but we encourage you, use your last name because it's your story, and using your last name to craft your core values. I can remember doing this with some football players and athletes who have some really, really long names. And we said, oh my gosh, that guy has every letter in the alphabet in that name. But so our last name, we use our last name. So here's how we do it. Parker's, the P in Parker is pleasing God,
Pleasing God.
accepting one another,
Accepting one another.
respecting one another,
Respecting one another.
keeping short accounts.
Keeping short accounts.
Not if we have conflict, but when we have conflict, right? Encouraging one another,
Encouraging one another.
renewal,
Renewal
and service.
and service.
That we want to serve together, especially in our work mentoring young couples.
Yes.
Because here's what happens: as we show them the ropes, we're tightening our own knot. So it's a win-win.
And we're encouraging other couples too.
Absolutely, all along the way, dating, engaged, and married. And so reflecting, using your core values, and what we do once a week, honey, we'll share about what we do and that we encourage couples to do. Have regular times, a rhythm where you reflect on your core values. How are we doing living out our core values?
And we say maybe a 10-minute connector.
Right.
And it could be on whatever letter. Like,
Right.
how are we pleasing God?
Yes.
Maybe are respecting one another.
Right.
And we work on that, throughout the whole week. I don't point the finger at you, but I point the finger at myself and say, I need to do better in respecting my husband.
Right. And so that's a great statement, because what we're talking, and that goes vice versa. Healthy me, strong we. So we ask the question, we look at ourselves, how am I doing? You look at yourself.
How am I
And so
doing?
we want to encourage you as husband and wife, and that's humility. That's courageous to be able to do that. And in my work with leaders and teaching at Johns Hopkins, the literature around this is amazing, that when leaders lead from their core values, they are over 110% more effective and successful when they lead from their core values, when they lead from their narrative. Well, we know that's also true. We can apply that to our marriage, because we define leader as someone of impact and serving in a positive way. So what does that look like for you to have a regular time to be intentional? And that reflecting matters because we drift. To have regular time, a rhythm, because we drift. I love that hymn, honey, Come Thou Fount, because in it says this: prone to wander, God, I feel it. Prone to wander from the God I love. It's easy for me, us to wander from the intimacy, from the oneness. And so having this rhythm once a week where we sit and do the 10-minute connector, and then a time to refresh. That's your self-care. How do you practice self-care as a couple? So what are some of the things that we do that's refreshing for you, for me, that we do as a couple, honey, that we've done?
What we do is we watch Hallmark. We love Hallmark.
You got to tell the guys that watch
Hallmark is so positive too.
Real men watch Hallmark? I
Yes.
guess. Okay.
Crossword puzzles.
Crossword
we do
puzzles.
that together.
Yes.
We like to go walking.
Walking.
Hiking.
Yes.
I like manicure, and we do pedicures together.
You're telling them everything.
Yes,
yeah.
I have
Couples
to.
massages and all those
Because you're
kind of
with
things.
me,
Yeah.
and I want you to be with me when we do the manicure and the pedicure.
And in COVID, honey, I mean, we had to be really creative. Sometimes self-care would just be getting in the car, driving for 45 minutes just to get toilet paper.
Right. We're just being with you.
Just being together, listening
and
to
we're
jazz.
just talking
So,
and laughing
yeah.
and having fun together. It's
So
really
refreshing,
fun.
whatever you do for self-care is unique to you. And then we get into recentering. Recentering is around reminding yourselves of your first love. We have our core water bottle to remember. This is our core. And in Revelation 2, verse 4 and 5 says this: you've left your first love. Return to your first love. That you're my second love. I'm your second love. Our first love is Jesus. He's the center of our joy. Because in a marriage, when you allow your heart to make each other the first love, you create idolatry.
Right, idolatry.
When you love the creature more than the creator, now we have idolatry. And our souls were not made to find rest in each other. Our souls were made to find rest in Him. It's from that rest,
Right. In the Lord only.
in the Lord alone, that we're able to show up. So recentering, that's the rhythm that we want to encourage you with, is to reflect, to refresh, and to recenter. Because what? Marriage is what? Hard work.
Marriage is hard work.
Marriage is heart work.
Marriage is heart work.
Marriage is worth the work.
Marriage is worth the work.
And with Christ,
And with Christ,
you can do the work.
you can do the work.